Right. Welcome everybody to the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for April 16th, 2025. I know that we have 3 board members here, so we have a quorum, which is nice. And we got a proposed copy of the meeting minutes for March 19th, and then Kim augmented the original draft. I don't know if everybody got a chance to read it. I did, and I thought it was very well taken. That because of the confusion in the application, it was smart to give it more meat, the description in that.
That was good. Thank you.
All right, so any problems, concerns, questions about the addition to the original?
No.
All right.
Good.
So I make a motion that we adopt the draft minutes for the meeting of March 19th, 2025, as amended by Kim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So, let's see. All right, the Tobin appeal is over?
It's not over. So what happened was after the March meeting, Kyle Burnett, the attorney for Tobin, contacted me. Gave me an update. He's working with the building department. His clients are working with the building departments to come to a resolution. I believe the resolution includes taking down a temporary structure, putting a building permit in for a more permanent barn structure, and then he also will need a variance for an existing shed that's close to the fronting street. So he's working on those applications. So while he's working on them, he asked to be put off to the meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. All right then. That's
And
over.
one more announcement, Dove's Nest is not on the agenda tonight. They're
Okay.
missing a form, and Gretchen's been in contact with them to get that resolved.
Okay.
Oh, who's that?
Dove's Nest.
That's nice.
So that will be pushed to the May meeting.
All right. Just make sure I have that here. All right. So that still leaves us with 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4 new applications. So the first application that is before us is case number 1075, Constance Bathrick, Timely Signs. Is there somebody here for that?
That's me, Scott. How are
Yeah.
you?
Good to see you again.
Likewise. Thank you.
You've been through the procedure before,
I have.
and
just
let me just explain to people out there, when the application is submitted to us, we review it, and then the applicant comes forward, explains what they want to do. If we feel that there's enough information that we can meaningfully look at the matter, we accept the application. Sometimes we ask for additional information, but right now, all we're doing is we're seeing if there's enough here so we can accept the application, go forward with a public hearing down the road. So, take it away.
thank you. My name is Paul Bikert from Timely Signs, and I'm just representing the Bathrick family, I suppose. Johnny's here. Let's see, is Artie here? Anyway, we have been interested in helping the Bathricks get an appropriate sign at this location, a freestanding sign. We've been kind of on and off with this over the years, and we just finally got to the point where it was a good time to apply for it. So this is essentially a 2-foot by 6-foot sign. There's right on Route 9. The design, I guess the minimum setback is...
Is it 9 or 9G? I'm sorry.
It's 9G, I'm sorry.
9G.
You're right. You're right. I've been living in this town for 21 years. Don't get me wrong. It's just where the I live where the intersection is, you know.
Got it.
But it's right beyond Ruby's. I'm sure you've passed it. You may not have known the name of it because there's no functioning sign there. With the two-way traffic there, it's ideal to have a double-sided sign. I would say it's probably 40 to 45 miles an hour near the intersection, but it's essentially a 55-mile-an-hour highway. you know, they do have a freestanding structure much further back that is parallel, doesn't have any text on it. It's been there for a dozen or more years. It's ineffective. You wouldn't notice it unless you drove into the parking lot. So that really hasn't been functioning at all. There's just no text on it. So it's just a couple of posts with a panel between. We did a similar location over in Kingston, to actually the town of Ulster on Route 32 for Marty. He's got a nice, made some nice improvements to that property, and we have a similar design for this because of two different locations, and we just wanted a similar look to it. Exterior lighting with downlights. The real issue, I guess, is the square footage of the sign. You know.
Yeah, the square footage is, we've dealt with this many times.
And you will be hearing, I'll be back this summer.
Yeah, I'm sure, and we actually have information about all the signs going up and down 9 and 9G in that general area. They're all much larger. They have to be because of this, the speed of the vehicles and all that kind of stuff. So we're used to this, believe me.
Yeah.
The size of the sign is not really my concern, but I think there's some issues maybe perhaps with regard to lighting. I'll let him speak to that.
Yes, so I did talk to Brian, I read his determination letter, and what he had said was that you would need a variance because there's no lighting, there's no non-illuminated signs, or, sorry, this is what he said. An additional variance will be required for the lighting as only non-illuminated signs are allowed in residential districts. So I talked to him about that because I, read the sign regulations. I just wanted to understand what he was saying. So his determination is that there can't be any lighting on the signs. I had thought it was just internally illuminated signs, but he says in residential districts, it has to be a non-illuminated sign. So he says that if you would like to continue to have lighting on it, you would actually need a use variance for it. Or you can just forego the lighting.
Is that a decision that I can discuss with my client and get back to you before the next meeting? To be perfectly honest with you, because the location of this adjacent to the Four Corner area, I had no idea until we went into the application process that this was zoned residential. I had just assumed that the fuel station, and Phantom Gardener and all those areas along that, those are highway business, is that correct?
Well, yeah, and you would assume that this would be part of that envelope. But it's not, unfortunately.
Right, so the lighted hood comes from our original one that we did for Rhinebeck Kitchen and Bath, which I guess that is allowed in that zone. So we were really, I'll talk to Marty and see what he wants to do. I mean, I don't know how necessary it is, but I'll consult with him and let him know that may be a barrier to getting the sign.
Question, if I may. Hours of operation? Approximately.
I don't think they're open beyond 6 o'clock p.m.
I've rented from them a couple times, so.
5? Is it 5?
Yeah.
They usually open early, so I would
I think it's like
assume
7 o'clock in the morning, isn't it?
7 to 4 or 5.
I've rented some stuff there too,
Yeah.
so I mean, that's right down the street, so.
And quite frankly, the first time I drove past it, because there was no sign. And that is a challenging area. I can't believe that it's so residential.
That's amazing. I didn't think it was residential either. I don't know how that could be. Is this in between Warren Cutlery and Ruby's?
Full of
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly right where it is.
And how close is there a residential neighbor?
Here's
They're in the back.
here.
Okay, that's
fine.
good.
And then
Yeah.
here's 9G.
Right. So they're literally here.
Yeah.
There's Ruby's. There's
No, getting the,
yeah. So it's kind of odd. I mean, yes, it is a residential on this side of Way Road, but
But there's a road between there and then the house is set back. Am I seeing that correctly?
yeah, there's a house, the big house, the log cabin structure,
the log cabin.
like up here. And that's residential. But just it just seemed like it was adjacent to more commercial properties. But I mean, technically, it is across the road from these residences. So
So
It's
that's what I
probably
say.
just on the border, it's the last residential property, and then I guess it's a commercial use that was built out on it, maybe, I don't know, when, do you remember when the structure was put up? And it had to be, it's a
Well,
while.
we purchased in '04.
04,
Yeah.
okay. But it was pre-existing.
Between, you know, to protect the people on Way Road.
And your neighbors,
And if you could just state your name for the record.
County Bank.
Okay, because you're on TV and we try to make a record and everything else, so.
your neighbors, you have a relationship with them? No, okay. Any thought of?
The problem is with a use variance, they're very, very difficult to get.
Okay.
Extremely difficult. It's not like, you know, the area variance, which is a much, much easier thing to do. And so that's why I just want, to me, this is kind of the plain Jane, we see the same thing, we need a bigger sign, yes, you do. And we've given those variances out to many folks along that corridor, so that wasn't a big deal. It was the fact that unfortunately it's a residential area. And I thought that there was only a certain type of lighting that was allowed. I think that's what was our original.
That's what I had thought, and then I reread, I talked to Brian today on a few other matters, and that's when he said that his determination is that because it's a residential district, he reads the code as saying no, you know, no
Illumination whatsoever.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so there's no flexibility, let's say it's until 6 from,
you need a use variance,
You need a
and that's
use
the
variance.
problem. The use variance is so difficult to get.
Yeah, because with an area variance, there's a difference in the zoning law between whatever the physical dimensions are, but if something's not allowed, that's when it becomes a use variance as opposed to an area variance.
Is there any painting, you definitely know, if there's any painting for signs that, because actually you want light for night, so and cars are driving with headlights, so basically you see the sign anyway, but there might be a paint that just might
More reflective.
more reflect, if you will.
Yeah, we could just put reflective text on it. Yeah, so on dark field, it would look great. I mean, that's an excellent solution, Richard. I mean,
Yeah.
that may suffice. And honestly, like I said, we had developed this sign under the impression that this was a commercial property.
Yeah,
I think
I
we
get
were
it.
so far into the process, we're like, well, let's just get it in there and we'll have these discussions with the ZBA and, you know, we're having them, so it's good. I can certainly ask Marty how he feels about it, and I'm sure he'll make a decision one way or the other, whether he wants to go forward or not.
No signage for Way Road?
There's no access from Way
Yeah.
Roads. I mean,
Well, there's a gate there.
yeah, but they don't want the public coming in there. There's no need to have signage there. I think it would be very confusing for people because they'd be
The
driving
traffic is in
back,
front.
they'd be driving into the
Yeah,
back
I
of,
know.
you know, the
That's-
employee-only area with equipment. It wouldn't be, they need to park in the front and go in
Right.
to the main office.
So, I mean, there's certainly enough here,
Okay.
in my mind, to go forward, but we still have the lighting issue. And,
Okay, and this is just to show, this is also what they provided as to where it would be located. So I think it looks like it's looking about,
There's
Right here?
I have
oh yeah.
I think I have
There's another
a
one.
mock-up of showing the sign
You do.
on the site. This is,
Here it is, I'm
it's
just.
right there, yeah.
You do.
So this is the setback, the 25 feet from the road. And it's still below the tree line there, but it's got better views going south. But it's still, we tried to move it up closer to the entrance to kind of help people make that visually know where to turn in. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some nice landscaping underneath, which is also a requirement.
Yes.
So,
so we should do.
so.
And the renderings are nice, and that's usually a bugaboo, but that's what we need, just exactly that, and then.
Well, the
I was
benefit,
gonna ask you- I'm sorry.
if we do take the light fixture off, I know we have a 6-foot maximum height. That will enable us, if we took the lighted canopy off, would enable us to move the sign up to the top of the sign would be 6 feet, or is it, I think it's the structure, so maybe it's just the caps could be 6 feet, so that'll be, you know, that'll be a few inches lower than that. So it might help with the visibility even without the lighting. Then we can do the reflective, it's a good suggestion. I hadn't thought about it.
So, Kim, what are your thoughts as far as should we adjourn this to the next meeting, or do you want to accept it?
No, I think
as
we can
subject to-
accept it, because
I think we can
I think
on this issue.
the question about the lighting, you're gonna check with your client. You know, we can make a decision if they decide to move forward with the lighting, we'll talk to you about a use variance, but if not, I don't think the plan's gonna change with the light or not the light, you know. You're
Right.
just gonna make it a little bit better actually, if you probably take it out the light, so I don't see an issue.
Yeah, I think,
I can have an answer for you probably tomorrow,
Okay,
Friday.
that would be great.
I think the application is a pretty simple application, and it's well done as usual, so thank you. I make a motion that we accept the application, subject to the issue of the use variance and the light.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Are you available on May 21st?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay,
I don't know.
that's our
I'll
next,
ask my
that's when the
wife.
public hearing is. So you've been through this before, we'll have a public hearing. And before then, obviously, well before then, we'll determine whether the lighting is an issue, whether, you know, we have to deal with that or not. But if it's just a straight increased size variance, we'll go forward with the public hearing, and you know that the surrounding folks will be notified. They may or may not come here, you'll make the same presentation, and we'll take it from there. I don't think I need anything else, I mean,
I know, you had
The
mentioned about
renderings.
renderings for the light, but that light's gonna be
but if the lights, yeah,
not
because
allowed.
we talked about that previously, there was no rendering for the illumination of the lights, which we typically get in these kind of things, but since there's,
So if we do go with it, we'll do our due diligence in showing that. You know, we have a similar fixture going in Montgomery Row with the downlight, LED downlights, and we've been incorporating some inline dimmers, which allow us to really fine tune the amount of lumens coming out of, you know, the standard, 3,000 Kelvin exterior downlight. So it's kind of really helps us to get to where the point where everyone, the neighbors and everyone in the town is happy with it. So because deploying that technique, and it's been working. So.
yeah, the only problem is they use variance, which is a real, but it's something.
You know,
But I'm
I'm
not.
sure Marty will make the right decision whether he wants to fight that fight and move forward with it, or whether he says, hey, it's more important to have a sign up soon than it is to drag this out and maybe for naught if it doesn't get approved, and you're back to square one anyway, 6 months, 8 months later. Yeah. I'll have that chat with him for sure.
Great.
All right.
All right, well, we'll see you on the
Thank you, everyone.
21st.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I just have one question, Scott. So you have a current, you said not really a sign, but a platform. Would you be removing that, or would you leave that up?
Yeah, if you go back to that previous one, you can kind of see it. It's been there for years, and it's right here. It's just sitting there. I'll offer to, when we install it, it's just an old, it's a couple of 4x4s and a rotted piece of plywood there. There's nothing on it. I think maybe it was a platform for a previous sign. Could have been there with the original owner from back in early 2001 or something.
But that's not where the sign's gonna go.
No,
The sign's
this
gonna
is,
go
this
right-
is,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
parallel to the street,
Yeah,
right there, that's right,
Yeah, I think I have
That
a,
makes sense.
yeah, and it's,
I think I have a.
our guy, when we go and install the sign, we'll just rip that out.
Here's the sign.
We could just put a sign on one of the cherry pickers.
Are you giving us permission to do that? It's above
No, no,
6 feet.
hey.
It's above 6 feet, yeah, right, yeah. I'll have to get a high variance for that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
No,
No,
thank you.
good to see you, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so just a couple of housekeeping things. I guess we put obviously the use variance we'll have to deal with perhaps, but anyway, as far as seeker goes, council has recommended that it's a type 2 action under 617.5C22, installation of traffic control devices or existing streets, roads, and highways, which includes signs. So that seems to be the right section, so I make a motion that we deem this to be a type 2 action under 617.5C22. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just a referral to the planning board. Who would like to be lead on this?
I will.
Okay, sure.
And I know that, just to point to bring up, I know that you guys typically like to do the site visits after the public hearing. I put in the grid a little thing about maybe, it seemed like it was a little easier to kind of schedule it at the meeting. We'll schedule it at the next meeting, but just wanted to I just
Yeah.
put it in there, because sometimes it gets a little confusing going back and forth with that.
Right.
Scheduling site visits?
Yeah,
I was speaking to Gretchen about it, and I think we did do it a couple of times here. It was a great
Right.
idea, and then we lost it, but I do think we should do this.
That makes sense.
yeah. Like I said, I know you guys usually like to do it after public hearing. So I
Right.
just wanted to-
Okay. All right, so that takes care of the first one. All right, now the second one is McLeod, case 1076. Is there anybody here for that one? Come on up. I don't know if you've been before us before, but basically we have Steve over here taking this thing from the public and just let us know who you are and explain the application just like was
You
done.
need a pointer.
And you get, we're very high class here. We have a pointer and everything.
Thank you.
I guess before we get into this, do you want to discuss our thoughts on this?
Yeah, actually, I did a little research on it too.
Okay.
So the reason that you're in front of us with the ZBA is that you have this, it's kind of an interesting question. You have a road, Old Wardenburg Road, that it fronts on, and then you have Route 9G that it also fronts on. So the way that the zoning law is written is that it says that if you have a corner lot and you have two streets, you have two front yards, and you have to apply the front yard setback to that. Now, a corner lot is defined as a lot abutting two or more streets at their intersection. So this has two streets, but they're not at an intersection. There's actually a little parcel that's right to the north of it, so it's not really
Right.
on an intersection. Now, Scott had asked me a question about,
I didn't think it
well, it's not really a
applied.
corner lot, right?
You didn't
So-
think it was what?
I didn't think this
It's-
applied because it's not a corner lot. What we always see is a
Right.
corner lot. You see the two streets coming together
Yeah.
and you have two,
Yeah, like the
Fronts.
street to the north would be a corner lot.
What's the dotted red lines?
Those are the other properties that our client owns as well.
But they're separate
But
lots.
they're separate lots.
separate lots. So, but you have 9G and then on the other side, they're parallel.
Yeah, the parallel streets, they're not.
The parallel streets, they don't meet. So it didn't,
So we're getting a different ruling on a corner lot.
Well, it's not necessarily different ruling on, it's just, I'm just letting you know what the definition of a corner lot is. As the ZBA, quasi judicial, you can interpret the zoning law, and you can determine that this isn't a corner lot, and that this two fronting streets, two front yards, don't apply because it's not a corner lot. Now, I did do a little bit of research, and there's actually there's another type of lot, it's called a through lot, which is also, what a through lot is, it's an interior lot having frontage on two parallel or approximately parallel streets, which is, I would say this is a through lot. This is in the zoning law. Now, there is no definition, the thing with the two fronting streets, it only talks about corner lot. There's no other mention in the zoning law anywhere except for the definition for a through lot.
I've never seen it in 22 years.
Yeah, and I did, there is a case law from 1975 that did say generally if you have a through street, you would conform to that for each frontage. Doesn't say that in the Rhinebeck zoning law. So I would say it's a question to you, if you would like, you can continue with it as saying that there's two front streets. I think there is validation in that. You can also argue that it's not a corner lot, which is when the two fronting streets is applicable
Well,
as well.
maybe what the best thing, out of an abundance of caution, is just to go through the application, but we should determine, I think, I personally right now am not convinced that this is an issue because they don't intersect.
Right.
And that's all I've ever known.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah, and I have never, like I said, I looked into it when I was doing my research, I saw the phrase through lot, and I thought, oh, that sounds more like what this is, and then I looked at the Rhinebeck zoning law, and there is a definition that meets that, but then there's no other discussions about that anywhere else.
anyway, I think, I don't know what you fellows think, or what you think. I mean, maybe we should just go through the application for the public and everything else, and then we can maybe revisit this before the public hearing to see if we really have to go
Sure,
forward
yeah,
with
yep,
this.
I just wanted to give you a little
Yeah.
update on that.
And I just wanted to put you on notice of what's going on here.
Well, as of right now, I don't think it's a corner lot. That's-
It's not a corner lot.
Visually, I don't think so. And then, does any of it apply, to, like, what the address is going to be? I mean, is the house going to be on Route
Old.
G, or,
It'll
I
be
mean, the
Old
address?
Wurtemberg. Yeah,
We
so
saw
really-
it actually, when we did an inspection right down the street. It was already being, there was a...
Oh, the lot was cut in already.
There was cut in already, yeah.
Yeah, so would you like to just discuss it a little bit?
So let's, yeah,
Why don't you-
why don't you speak for a while?
Yes.
I'll give you my case.
There you go.
My name is Carl Hansen. I am an architect and project manager for the Art of Building, representing our client, Justin Cobb. And yes, as mentioned, the project is located on 546 Old Wurtemberg. And during our initial planning board meeting, they brought up this issue that we have 2 front yards with 9G and Old Wurtemberg, and referred us to you. So the reason why we're here is to kind of address that. And one thing I would pose is that, correct, right? It's a through lot. It's not a corner lot. And while it does have 2 front yards, we propose that it only has 1 fronting street, right? There is no definition for fronting street in the code, just that it's referred to in section 125-27 sub A sub 3. What we're proposing is that we think the fact that we would need a variance is perhaps a little dubious, and for these reasons. One is the lot maintains an address on Old Wurtemberg. 2, it is part of the original Marquardt Farm, which was a farm lot, all which fronted onto Old Wurtemberg, everything that had been part of Marquardt Farm initially and historically. Our proposed house and garage have been designed with the front door facing east towards Old Wurtemberg, with the garage placed behind it with respect to Old Wurtemberg, so that we would be adhering to the code. Additionally, all of our location for the house and the garage, even if with 9G considered a front yard, meet all of the yard setback requirements for 9G being a front yard as well. But additionally, there's also no existing or proposed driveway connection or an approved break-in access point from 9G, which would require a permit for that, and we have no plan to do that. There is also an existing stone wall on Old Wurtemberg with an entrance already built into it from Old Wurtemberg, which we are using as our plan to use as our driveway entrance. There's also a wetland completely bisects the lot from north to south, really cutting off any access that we could get from 9G, even if we were to propose that. And then that would require a specific permit, which and also would not be advisable, right? We'd rather not build on over a wetland to provide access when we have perfectly good access from Old Wurtemberg. And then the last item I do want to bring up is, again, regarding the definition for fronting street, which there is none. So per that code section 125-27 sub A sub 3, it states that except for agricultural structures, guest cottages or caretakers' dwellings, no accessory structure shall project closer to the fronting street than the principal building or be located within a required front yard. Without a written definition for fronting street, in the town's code, we would argue that in this case, Old Wurtemberg would be the fronting street, and thus the proposed garage sits behind the new residence and adheres to all other zoning applicants. We'd also put forward that, in any case of ambiguity in the code with no definition for fronting street, we feel that the burden should not necessarily lie on the owner then to adhere to something that's not defined clearly, and would then be back on the town to revise or clarify its code.
Did you want to go through, just, I know you
Maybe
already
just
mentioned-
briefly go through
Yeah, 'cause
which one to
here's
do,
the
and, yeah.
pictures, and that shows.
That's important to show.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, so we were proposing a new single-family residence with its driveway entrance off of the existing stone wall that is there and entrance, and then with driveway access to the back of the lot where the garage would be placed. We've also, placed the garage kind of directly behind the house with its facade or garage doors facing to the south, so not addressing the street as well, making it very clearly an accessory structure. And the house facing east with its front door towards Old Wardenburg. The dash lines may not be relevant for this conversation, but it's part of the old Marquardt farm. Those were where some historic barns had originally been, but were demolished long ago, sometime in the 80s. So as you can see, the break in the stone wall where we propose our new driveway, which is where an existing opening is.
Yeah, we actually passed by there, what was it, like January, February-ish, something like that. We were looking at a site farther down the street, and we happened to see that. Plus, you've been before us before for the other side of the street where you did save the barn and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yep.
You did a nice job there. The only thing I was going to ask for, if this actually applied and we had to go forward, was to get renderings of the house, what the house and the other structures were going to look like. In color. I know you've
In color, yes.
Yeah. And how it would appear on the, and we always ask for this, how the structures are going to appear, their color, et cetera, and how they're going to appear on the property as best you can situate them. And that's usually done pretty easily by folks in your profession. So it makes it a lot easier for us to see exactly what we're looking at as far as what the structure is going to be, how it's going to sit on the property.
Absolutely.
So I guess I would ask if it's not too much trouble to do that. I know we may or may not be going forward at a public hearing, because I think we need to get a determination whether we need to go forward with this.
What would you want?
We need to do what?
Huh?
We may not be going forward because of...
Well, no, I think we have to decide whether this even applies or not. Why, go through the whole.
So, I guess, who would you want, would you like the determination from Brian, or, because
Well,
you are the board, so you
We are
can
the
make,
board.
you can make this
I'd like to get
determination.
more information from you. I know we just met yesterday.
I can send you a little
and send
memo,
me-
I can send you guys a memo.
I think that's a good idea,
Sure.
so we can decide amongst ourselves whether this even applies.
I don't understand, first, if you have 2 front yards, does that mean you don't have a backyard?
Well, no, he doesn't have, this has a front yard, definitely, and a backyard.
So using my critical thinking skills, looking at that map, I don't see why we can't move forward on this.
Oh, we definitely can move forward.
But is it
on-
necessary?
Well, no, I think what we have to do one of 2 things. You have to either deal with the variance, assuming the section actually applies, or say the section doesn't apply and there's no need for it. So we have to so we're going to either do a grant or deny variance, or we're going to do an interpretation, which I think, in my mind at least now, looks like an interpretation as to whether this even applies. Does that sound reasonable? Anyway, the application was, again, well done, and I have everything I need to, assuming we had to deal with the variance issue. There's enough information here. The only thing I would ask for the renderings, just to augment this a little bit. But other than that, I think we should accept the application and set a public hearing down. And then, in the meantime, we'll get a memorandum from our council and decide whether we even, whether we're going to be doing an interpretation or whether we have to go forward with the variance.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If you don't mind, because you're in front of the planning board at the moment.
We are, yeah. We will be back in front of the planning board on Monday next week for our public hearing there. And so it was our hope that if it could be determined that either one, a variance is not needed, then we need no approval here, and you could vote on that tonight, which was obviously our hope. Or if you determine that a variance is needed, then we would, come back for the public hearing at the next meeting. But again, I presented the case that I believe it is our interpretation that we do not need variance for this.
So how far along, I was at the planning board meeting, I think you just had your first meeting in April, correct?
We
That
did.
was yours, so then you're on your second one, or I guess March. So one thing I would, just to kind of save the applicant some, because if they do a public hearing, they have to submit, they have to put out, doing the render is going to cost
You want to
money.
adjourn it?
I was going to say, what if this isn't going to impact you too far? I don't think the planning board will have an approval at Monday's meeting.
Well, no, they could. With the public hearing, we could get approval. We have all of our other approval requirements in place. We've gotten our DOH approval, and we're just waiting for the final jurisdictional determination on the wetland.
What I was going to suggest is, rather than have the applicants perhaps spend money that they don't need, if we were to, just like you said, almost adjourn it, let you determine this decision, and then we can decide at the May meeting, you would just be delayed a month, perhaps, maybe not.
Right.
But,
I think it unlikely, but we can't promise anything, but it just,
I just want to say, you do have the jurisdiction to make a determination. I understand
know.
if you want to sit on it, or, this is new information, I will
well,
say.
I think it's
because
pretty
we don't
simple,
need-
actually, especially, given the facts and the topography and the law as read, and I presume you remember that you didn't give to us. So maybe the best thing to do is to, we can certainly accept the application and then schedule the public hearing for June, or you want to have it for May?
Well, if you have it for May, then they will have to
do the stuff, yeah.
do all the mailings and.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, how quick do you think you're gonna get to that memo?
Oh, the memo won't take long, but the fact, that it's just a matter of determining what's next, because if I could do the memo tomorrow, but you will have to make a, you have to
Decision
still
on,
make a
in May,
decision on
at the
it.
next meeting.
Yeah, we can't do it just on the phone, the three of us.
Or email?
I mean,
No, we
or,
have to do it
like
in
I
the
said,
meeting.
I mean, if you feel like you have the information, and I'm not trying to force it or anything
No.
like that, but I'm just saying, if you have the information, you can certainly discuss it tonight. If you do feel that this shouldn't apply based on the corner lot argument, I think you could always do a straw vote, but that way I can always prepare a resolution saying that for
Right.
May, and then I'll be at the Monday's meeting for the planning board. I can give them an update no matter
Right.
what. Or if you do think that a variance should be done, then we should keep this moving.
I don't think we should keep this moving, and
I
I
don't
agree we
think
should not have the applicant spend additional monies that, in my mind, they probably don't need to spend. So, should we just?
So I think what I'm hearing is that based on the definition for fronting street, that it seems to be typically applied with a corner lot.
Always,
And then this doesn't meet the definition of a corner lot. There's no other regulations for a through lot
right,
in the zoning law, then they don't need a variance.
that's my feeling. And I told you that yesterday, I mean, that's just,
And I think that's our field. I mean, it's a quorum.
I don't have the resolution prepared, but what I would do is I do what's called a straw vote. It's not like a formal vote. I mean, you can do a formal vote. I like to have stuff in writing, and I can always have a resolution drafted, but we can provide that information to the planning board as well. Would you like to just move forward? We can just do a resolution in the minutes, and then I'll prepare a resolution for May, and then we can just adopt that retroactively.
I think that sounds right.
I'll help you with the minutes to discuss this.
Okay, good.
So I would have a motion that this lot does not meet the corner lot definition, and an area variance is not required for this application.
I adopt that. How's that?
That's fine.
I second that.
I won't say it as well as she does, so, but no,
I
I don't think it
adopt it
applies.
as well.
So there's a second?
Second.
Yeah, well, I just try away with personal injury, right, not this. Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so,
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, and the planning board will be, well.
I'll be at the planning board meeting, me or Sean Lyons at Grant Lyons will be at there, and we'll provide an update with them on that.
Great.
Great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Keith.
And
Yes.
you're Carl?
Yes.
Oh, so, but it says Luke. Luke couldn't make it?
Oh, that was
yeah.
who submitted the application.
Yeah.
But Mike is not.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, that was an interesting one. I don't think I've ever had that.
Yeah,
before.
really.
So, we only have a couple more to go. Next up is case 1077 Statsburg Holdings LLC, and I believe there are people here for that. Good evening, gentlemen. And we have the application before us. Again, all we're doing is seeing whether there's enough information here for us to accept the application. We may ask for some more information, we may not. We have the camera there, so if you just introduce yourself and just go through and explain the application for us.
My name is Tom Angel. I'm the attorney for Statsburg Holding LLC. We do business as Foster Flooring. Foster Flooring currently has a office and showroom in Statsburg, and they're seeking to open up a new office and showroom warehouse on Route 9G. It's in the Crossroad District. It's a little bit it's between the intersection of 9 and the bridge approach. On the right-hand side, the bordering property is the storage unit. It's right across from the pizza place there. Currently, that site has abandoned buildings on it. And my clients are, it's owned by Constant Patrick. My clients are contract to purchase the property pending approval of the ZBA and the planning board. We also have an application in front of the planning board. It's in the Crossroad Business District. And the building permit was submitted to the building department, and Mr. Tam wrote a termination letter saying that we were in need of several different variances. Among variances, an area variance of 83 feet for the front yard setback, a second area variance of 2 feet for the side yard setback, a third area variance of 7 feet for the rear yard setback, and the parking will also require an area variance for 51 feet for the front yard. We provided you with renderings of the building that we're seeking to build there. That off to your left would be facing N9G. What you're looking at is face route number.
So this is what would be, this is the supply area.
That's correct.
So it goes further out, and then this is what's
Right.
facing away from the 9G.
Right, so the parking in the front would be for customers. Parking in the rear would be for employees. Right now, in terms of the amount of people that go to the showroom, it's about 4 people a day. That's about the traffic level that would be expected. The
4 per day.
four customers come in per day. The people who install the flooring would operate out of the building as well. They would park in the back. There's a separate parking area in the back. So that's our application. The project engineer, Joel Chase, is with me here tonight. So if you have any technical questions, I'm more able to answer them than I am. But that's generally what we're seeking to do.
Right, and I appreciate that rendering, but if it was possible, I'm sure it's possible, just have rendering show with the sides and the back, so we have the full picture. Sure. I think we all know the property very well, but that's great to have the front, but having the sides and the back and how it appears on the site would be wonderful too, so we can get those renderings. And the only question I had was, does it have to be that close to the roadway? Is there a way to put it back or lessen the variance? Because one of the things we have to go through is Is there a lesser variance we can give to accomplish the same thing? And it kind of looks from that, what we're looking at right now, that maybe that's not the fact, because a lot of times you do have things on site that preclude a lesser variance being granted.
So one of the constraints on the property is there are wetlands down towards Route 9 on that side of the property, so that kind of limits how much you can move.
So there's a small envelope that you can put in and maybe. Come on up, why don't you come up and introduce yourself?
My name's Joel Chase, the project engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, because we also have the utility easement that bisects the property there, so we have to pick one side beyond. Yeah, there it is right there. And the northeastern part, we might have several feet of wetland adjacent area that we're ironing that out with the DC right now. Well, yeah, the initial.
And that's what the questions, does he either have wetlands or maybe there's a septic issue
Yeah,
or something?
that's in the process of being revised right now too, because that is not validated or signed off by the DC right now. That was based on discussion that we had in the field. We're also trying to maintain the existing well. And you see the site plan, I mean, just the building envelope in general to where you would not need a variance is really tight.
You can also see that it pretty much covers where the existing structures were
Yeah,
on
thank
the
you.
property. It's
So
not
this-
that.
Yes.
This is the rear yard setback.
Correct.
Where's the side? Here's the front yard setback is right here.
Yes.
And, yeah, this is the rear yard setback, and then I'm trying to find, here's your side yard setback here,
Yes.
and where's the other yard setback? Here?
Up, no, up a little bit, I'm sorry.
Oh, I see, yeah, right at
Oh, you gotta give him a point.
the, yeah.
Take the point, come on.
Can you go back to the previous slide for 1 second?
The wetlands one?
I'm just trying, I'm trying to get, okay.
Yeah. There's the existing buildings over there, the existing well, and there's the foundation remain right there, there's a
That
slab
was
on
where
it.
the dry
That's
cleaning
where-
store
yeah.
was.
Yeah, I get it.
They had to
Yeah, I
take
know.
it down because it was the floodplain.
Yeah, we have a floodplain running along there, and then the wetland adjacent area might creep into there a little bit now, so.
So it's got that.
So that's where it has to be.
I think that basically, and I think the other thought is that it's a pretty nice use for that property at this point in
It
time.
looks better than what's there.
Yeah, I think that's the thought.
What was that building that was there before?
So that place, the existing building you see there was, years ago, they used to sell propane gas.
Oh, up here, up here.
Yeah.
You know, that's where they used to sell propane gas. I believe.
Uh-huh.
I think
So
that's who
there's
the
no-
Mavericks bought the property from.
There's no town water there?
No, this is, there's the existing well right there, and the existing septic absorption area was someplace.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So is the gas station on the well and the pizza place across the way? I mean,
I believe most things around here are private water and sewer. They might have a private water supply, like this building might have its own private water supply.
Huh.
Well, we can definitely get you those new renderings.
The renderings are really the only thing I need, and it's
Yeah.
just, again, just to give a kind of panoramic view and see how it's set on the property.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we need everything staked out when we go out and do, we go out and do a site inspection. Typically, when we do that after the public hearing, so we can listen, if there are any comments from the public, we have them in our ears when we're going out to take a look at the site, so that comes afterwards, but we will need it staked out at some point. And the renderings before the public hearing.
You had mentioned in your application that it's on the existing footprint of what used to be there?
Well, it's similar, I mean, you can see
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah.
There's a demolition site plan there too, they can kind of see.
Actually, it's back from One of the building structures is right on the property.
Yeah, existing. There's kind of like concrete slab. And then there's a slab over here.
And for the supply room, are you having any deliveries? Is there enough room for like a truck to deliver?
Yeah. Yeah, there's an overhead door right here,
Uh-huh.
and that's why this is relatively wider and a decent turning radius, and we're trying to maintain like a
Back
place to,
end
like,
slot?
place to back up.
Okay.
Like a box truck, so that size.
No freestanding sign, you want to go through that process too? Just checking.
How many employees would you have on board?
They're about
Eight.
ways right now. That's
Are there any environmental issues? Because I know there was a dry cleaner there, and
I don't
they're
think
notorious
there's
for that.
any known environmental issues. The owner is here, we are not aware of any
Okay.
environmental issues. I don't think that they did dry cleaning on the property.
Oh, it was delivered there, okay.
Right.
That's, any questions, concerns? from our board members?
I'm just curious, the Foster Flooring, you'll be keeping Statsburg? Will that be like storage?
I don't, the Statsburg Holdings LLC does not own the building in Statsburg. I think the thought is that this would be the new location.
It's definitely an eyesore now, so anything there.
Yeah, no, it's a nice design.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. It's a good minor use for it, I think. It's not a, and I think you're right, there's not a lot of foot traffic
Right.
during the day. I've been down to Statsburg quite a bit, and I know the guys, yeah. Anyway, no, I think we have enough.
Okay. So I'd make a motion that we accept the application, subject to getting the additional renderings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
And can you be here on May, was it 21st?
Yes.
Okay. And what will happen in the interim is that the neighbors, such as they are, will be notified of this application. And they'll have the opportunity to come here and ask you questions, voice their concerns if any, make whatever statements they want to make with regard to the application. But you'll go through the same process. We do need the renderings. Maybe you can get them to us, what, Gretchen, we're looking within a week or so, or two, or?
Usually two.
Yeah, usually 2 weeks before.
Do you send out the notices, or do we need to send out the notices?
You do, and I'll send you an email with all the.
She's great, she'll take it all through.
Okay.
So we'll see you on the 21st.
Okay.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
All righty. So. let's see. Okay, the housekeeping here is,
So I
okay,
believe,
you were suggesting that the planning board.
I believe
release-
they'll be on Monday's agenda for the planning board, right, Gretchen?
Yeah.
So likely they'll do a seeker at that time, so I would recommend that we let the planning board be
I like
away.
the recommendation. So we'll let the planning board take lead agency on that. All right. And we have a couple of referrals to the obviously the planning board and then the WAC. And that's about it. Someone would like to be the lead on this. Someone would be Brian, I understand. So Brian will be lead on it. And that takes care of that. Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, can you already announce
Yeah,
the
Doug
Doug?
Smith is not on tonight.
Okay, that's off. So the last thing we have is the Stanley matter.
Yes.
Is there anyone here for the Stanley matter?
So this is the new application for Staley, which is for, he did apply. So we had a discussion at the last meeting about appeal/interpretation versus use variance. Mr. Staley said he wanted to go for a use variance. So we said if you need to go for use variance because of the standard, we wanted to have an application for that. So he did submit an application, and so he's seeking the same thing, having a short-term rental on the property for a use variance, but I don't believe he's here.
So I don't believe we can go forward.
Correct. I would say that we
So-
should wait for him to be
Yeah,
here.
so we'll put it over to the May 21st meeting.
Unless you want to wait till the end, I don't know if you can, and then let T-Court do their public hearing, and if he shows up, could you do it that way? Because he's got the public hearing too.
What's that? Sorry.
Well, we have a public hearing on his first application.
Right. And then
We
the-
continued it.
Right, yeah.
When he asked for the interpretation.
Yeah.
So that's still actually before us.
So can you bump the
But this
two of
is a
them to
different
the end
application.
And let T-Court go ahead, that way if he shows
Oh.
up.
Yeah.
And if not, then you bump it to May.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Good idea. So just hold that off.
All right, so yeah, we'll hold up and see if he arrives.
Because last
And-
time you were just before, so that.
Okay.
Oh,
Fair
okay,
enough.
are we ahead of schedule or something? or-
Yeah, because you own Dustin's.
Okay. All right, and so that takes care of the new applications. There's a public hearing on Nick Staley's first application for an interpretation. That was, I think we had the public hearing, we continued it to tonight. So we'll wait to see what
You wanna wait
happens
for that
there.
one too?
And then that brings us to T-Court, and I believe there is somebody here for that. So take it away.
Good evening, Seth Stibble with Mark Krinsky, PELSPC, here this evening to represent T-Court LLC and their application for 5 area variances. I'll take the lead from the board on how detailed you want to go into the presentation again.
Yeah, we know him pretty well, and I was just wondering if, Kim, do you think we should, how far we should go into this, given the request by the planning board?
Well, I think you can still. I would still go.
Give us
through
an
it.
overview of what's going on, and there was a request, you probably saw it, you may have seen it,
I have not.
by the planning board to continue the public hearing because
While they're reviewing.
while they're reviewing it. And before you start, I'm surprised Kim has not admonished me, but I'm supposed to
Oh,
make a
sorry.
motion to open the public hearing. So I make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a
She
second?
was getting to it. Second.
She was
That's
getting.
right. Yeah.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing is open. Seth, if you just take us, give us the Cliff Note version of what we're talking about
Can you
here.
get a copy of that public, that request from the planning board,
of
please?
course,
Absolutely.
Just a couple of housekeeping things. There were a few items we talked about at the last meeting. One of those was the review of the accessory structures code to see if we could eliminate maybe pools and spas. I had some conversations with Kim about that, and the code does say that accessory structures are swimming pools, spas, whirlpools, and hot tubs. They are included. So there will be, they will need to be included in the variance calculations. One of the other things that we just wanted to note, we did find a discrepancy in the architectural plans than what was reported for the platform square footage. So there was a slight adjustment in the platform square footage. The change is 79 square feet. It's an increase. So the change is from 484 to 563, and that slightly increases the variance request in the end for total square footage of accessory structures. We updated all of our plans and submitted those, and then also provided the presentation which was submitted, which was requested by the board. Here this evening, obviously, to talk about the variances that are requested. This is for the north and the east loops of the miniature train. So the first variance, I think I should go to the next slide, that'd be great. Just some quick background on the project. The project was conceptually approved previously. You can go to the next slide. Was conceptually approved by the planning board during the master plan process. We do have a current application. We did meet with them last Monday. Mondays ago. And, they're moving forward with their public hearing. And so moving through that process, the variances that we're requesting this evening and the application for this board is for the North Loop trestle bridge height, the East Loop signature bridge, tower, and steel truss height, the accessory structure, aggregate square footage, the covered platform location in front of the principal dwelling, and the conservatory building located in front of the principal dwelling. So variance 1 for the accessory structures, section 125.27A1, accessory structures, no structure shall exceed 20 feet in height. We have a really unique circumstance here in that these were defined as structures. They are trusses. They're not livable structures of any kind. They are just wooden or steel structures. So the proposed trestle bridge span height is 29 in this location for the North Loop is 29.3 feet. So that's a 9.3 foot variance. And that is up to just the deck. The railings were not included in that height, similar to like the even peak kind of evaluation of some of the structures. Next slide, please. The second variance is for the East Loop signature bridge. And so the signature bridge, the truss, which is located spanning across a ravine here, and going to do that intentionally so that we don't impact that ravine, which is also somewhat of a wetland. We are doing our jurisdictional determinations as well. That is going to span the ravine, and at its highest point here, it is 51.6 feet, so the variance request is for 31.6 feet. Next slide, please. The third variance request is where these changes will come up, and I intentionally didn't want to change this slide so that we could point out where those changes were. This request here is for aggregate square footage. So in the H220 district, it's 300 square feet per acre, which gives us 16,529 square feet of allowable square footage of accessory structures. Just zoom over to the other side. No worries. And on the T-Corp parcel, we have existing approved accessory structures that total 14,052 square feet. There's no change to that. The change that is required here is to the platform, but as you can see, actually did cover that. It's 563 square feet, which is the new request. So it went up by 79 square feet, which increased this by 79 square feet, which then increased the total by 79 square feet, and then also the variance. So 281 square feet is now the requested variance for total aggregate square footage of accessory structures. And number 4 and number 5 variances are about the unique placement of the lot. Next slide, please. On this site, the principal structure is actually located on the Hudson River just by Astor Cove, all the way at the rear of the property. The property is an irregular shape. And the two structures that are proposed are located here, the platform and the conservatory. Obviously, there's a large distance between where the existing principal dwelling is, and our proposed accessory structures are closer than the principal dwelling to the fronting street, which is River Road. That's why we meet and are required to have these variances. Next slide, please. So the total distance of the principal dwelling from River Road is 2,918 square feet. The covered platform is 1,078, and the conservatory is 965. Each one of them will require a certain variance over the distance between the principal dwelling. That's 1,840 square feet, as well as the conservatory building for 1,950 square feet. Those are the variances before the board.
If you could refresh my recollection, the last two structures, were they in existence 75 or 100 years ago, or whenever it was when this train system was first put in place? And are they in generally the same spot?
So, no, these structures were not in existence.
Okay.
There was a train station building. That actual train station building that was an original Astor structure is now located actually on SS Farm, the neighbor to the north. There have been some attempts made to possibly obtain that, but that has not been possible. These structures are in support of the ride-on train, which will be an arrival platform to a garden train area where there will be storage for the garden trains themselves, which is the purpose of the conservatory structure. It is also to view what is a garden landscape. proposed. And then next slide, we do also have some renderings, which would maybe be nice to see for the public. So this would be at T Court Lane at about the intersection of Ferncliff Drive, looking into a property that was completely developed previously by something that was associated with the Ferncliff Nursing Home. Large building, a lot of parking area. So this is creating more of a park environment. Next slide, please. This is a similar, but just focusing in more on the conservatory building. You'll see in the background, you can see just a bit of the platform. Next slide, please. This is a view from the platform looking at the conservatory and observing what would be the garden scale train area. And this is the slide looking actually to the west. You're heading around the garden scale now, and you're headed towards what is the signature bridge. Next slide, please. And this is just an overall view. This would be a finished existing trestle structure, very similar to the ones that will be on the North Loop as well. And look forward to taking everyone out to the site, which I assume maybe we'll schedule this evening, based on your earlier conversation. But or maybe we'll delay that till after the next public hearing to the planning board.
Yeah, thank you for taking us through that. It's a neat project. We did get this matter was referred to the planning board, as all of the applications are, and we received something in the last day or so. And
I'll send this to you, Seth. For this
yeah,
one, just...
but there it is right up there. It just says basically, given the nature of the project, we hold the public hearing open just to give them more time to assess it.
Okay.
Which is fine, and in the meantime, we can come out and do a site inspection. I think I always tell people we need to have everything staked out and whatever, but we'll have a pretty good idea of where the railroad tracks are going to be, where the conservatory is going to be, where all the various
It
structures.
is staked in the field.
Yeah, staked out. Okay. Right.
How long is the track system? Is it a quarter mile?
The first phase is roughly about a mile, and the second phase will add about 3/4 to that. So it's around 2 miles total.
So you're not here for the second phase?
This is the second phase. So the first phase, which is under construction now, is the central and the southern loop, which was before this board previously. Also included some accessory structures that required variances. And now we're approaching finishing construction around October. For all of that work, and then looking to move into construction with similar project teams almost immediately.
So the total track system will be?
About 2 months.
2 months.
About 2 months. Yeah.
Who does the inspection on this? Is it Ed? Or because of all the components of engineering, who does this for the town?
Probably Ed would.
It's a great question, actually. This was discussed with the planning board during the approval process, and a method was put in place so that our client actually hires a third party. It's not necessarily a third party, it is actually CPL, which is the planning board's engineer. So they have a structural specialist there who we hire to do additional inspections that our structural engineers also do. And that information gets provided back to Ed at the building department. Ed does the inspections of the buildings, but he does not do the inspections of the trestle structures.
Right, that makes sense.
The bridge, I'm going from memory, it's either 29.3 or 26.3 or something like that.
29, 23.
So there's a variance for that, height variance probably. So what if it's 3 inches over?
We do our best to build all of these things to the specs that there are on the plan.
So my point is, why don't you make it 6 inches over? And then if you're under, then you don't have to muck around with, does it make any sense to anybody else besides me?
I understand, we actually do work to very tight tolerances.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. It's necessary with these kind of structures, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the ZBA should always be granting whatever the minimum variance is. I understand your point because you don't want to build it and then have to come back for an extra 3 inches, but, it's best to know exactly what you're getting so that you go for that.
What's in the conservatory?
So the actual tracks for the G scale run into the conservatory. The conservatory then will have an area so that you can take them apart, assemble them, disassemble them, store them. So there will be shelving in there to store them. And then there's just a small upper balcony, the square footage of which we have accounted for in our variance application, that allows you to view and look out over the garden scale tray. That's on the what would be the north end. And actually in that area also are a control system. And the entire garden scale system will be computerized. All of the switches, all of the mechanisms that move and let these trains go around are controllable. So it'll be an area where you can actually load and drive trains around.
Is that what G scale means, garden scale?
Garden scale, yeah, G scale, garden scale.
Unique, neat project, and I have all the information I need. So normally I would close the public hearing, but again, we have.
And ask if anybody is here for the public.
Well, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Come on up.
Let's come up here.
Come on up here. Yes, I apologize. I didn't think anyone was here for the project, so come on up. Please state your name. Please state your.
My name is Susan Cobb. I live at 125 Ryan Road.
Okay.
So I don't think affected by this at all, but I wondered whether the question ever came up as to what the view of this variance would have, what impact it would have on the view from River Road, or possibly from the railroad bed, the old railroad bed, which I still own part of. And if you could just answer that question.
Certainly. I think it might be best to pull up another map just to look at, and one of the overall ones would be like the whole
I
site.
think you talked about that last month. I don't think you see the trestle from River Road.
Let's answer
Is this
again the question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
If we can just go back to the first rendering, which is this one right here, that's it right there. So from River Road is, I think we're requesting 935 feet from the corner of this building, which is the conservatory, to River Road. So there's almost 1,000 feet from River Road. This area here is actually heavily wooded, and the only access road is the private road, Tea House Lane, which runs by this. That's the road that's owned by this property. So actually in the back here, you can see in the rendering the impression of what you will see from about Tea House Lane and Ferncliff Road of the signature bridge. So there's not a lot of visual impact on that area, that one location specifically. And then if we could just go back to an overall plan, which I think maybe just the next one up.
Oh, next one, sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect. So the old railroad bed, this is actually a portion of Brindle Brook property, which Mrs. Koff actually used to own. And the old railroad bed actually goes through this area here. And so the distance this is about 2,000 feet, so I'm going to guess that this distance here is also, again, over 1,000 feet. And in between that area, you have not only topography and hills, but just wanted to point out that it actually rises up to the entrance road that goes to Tea House. This is almost along a ridge line. And most of this drops down into what is the meadow of Astor Courts and all of the fronting of that property. It drops down towards Ferncliff or down in this direction. And then on the back side of this, it actually drops the other direction down towards SSS Farm. So there's quite a bit of a high point here in this area, and there will not be visibility of either the Phase 3 or the signature bridge from most likely from that point.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, concerns? And I apologize for, I just didn't think there was somebody here, and I apologize, I usually ask.
I didn't come for the fun of it.
Yeah. Well, this isn't so bad.
What's the city of Chicago made Is it concrete or
Composition of buildings or
just, I mean, how's it gonna
physical
hold up?
structures themselves? Or,
Just how's it gonna hold up?
so
Just curious.
we're looking at both composite materials and obviously due to conditions here, methods of potentially removing the structures and storing them. Also another reason to have the conservatory, so that during winter months or the months where weathering might occur, that we would be able to dismantle them and place them inside. But definitely looking at materials that will hold up to weather here, both sun impacts and our local weather.
He's from Chicago, by the way. You broadcast that. Just here.
We could go back to the view of Chicago and build
I don't want to make him homesick. So, all right. I don't have any other. I don't have any questions. Board members, any questions, concerns? And anything else? All right. Again, usually I would close the public hearing at this time, but we do have a request from the planning board to keep the public hearing open as they need time to review the plans and things like that. We will supply you, Seth, with a copy of that.
Thank you.
We just got it in the last day or two. So I'm going to honor the request of the planning board and make a motion that we continue the public hearing until May 21st, pursuant to the request of the planning board. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. So we'll officially be on for the 21st. I presume at that point in time we'll be able to close it unless we get some other requests.
I don't know where the planning board is.
Yeah, I don't know what their situation is, but maybe you can find out. And do we want to try to schedule a date to get out there?
Yeah.
Might as well.
Can I throw out that the whole planning board would go to this one? So I don't know if we would all want to try and.
Well, the three people here will figure it out now.
Yeah,
If somebody else wants to join.
Do we have to go with the planning board? Can't we just?
No,
go
I'm just saying,
ourselves?
they're all.
Yeah, we had
a big
discussed
group.
that.
Yeah, no, if it's easier for you guys, we'll all go together. That's fine. You've done that in the past.
That it might be easier to not go all together, just
Either
because
way.
coordinating all of the people. So that was our only.
It's a good, you're right, right.
Yeah, I agree.
I just assume the three of us go out,
Yeah.
but we'll, whatever's easiest, so.
In contact with Gretchen?
Want to try to coordinate it
Kind
now? Huh?
Any dates on the weekend, right?
Pretty much. Saturday mornings are usually good.
Which the 26th. Do you want to do it closer to the main meeting then?
We'll do it closer to the main meeting, yeah.
May 17th?
I won't be here for that. Actually, give me a second.
Well, there's a lot there. There's May 3rd, May 10th.
The third is Kentucky
Is that
Derby,
what's good
just
for
so
you?
you all know.
I'll work with your schedules.
Well, we try to be
That's the
accommodating.
nature of the job.
Yeah, well,
May 10th.
Yeah, I could do the 17th, or I could do the 10th.
Actually, I just realized
That's,
I'm not here on the 10th.
So 17th sounds like it may be viable.
17th is good.
What about you? You don't know.
I'm pretty
You haven't talked
flexible.
to the boss.
I haven't talked to the boss and, who knows?
I'm guessing
I live day to
the
day.
10th is not going to be good for you because the 11th is that.
Mother's Day.
Ooh. No, but the 10th is fine. Because the kids come back to the house, so that time will be traveling.
I can't do the 10th.
You can't do the
Yeah,
10th.
so do the
And my
17th.
parents are definitely.
Third or the 17th.
We're going to be every year.
Okay, so 17th.
17th it is. And it's probably going to be a little bit of time to go around there, so we're gonna, I'm an early riser, but maybe some other people here aren't. I don't know if you're like,
I'm not before you, so.
Oh, you're fine. Well, it's fine. 9:30, okay? Bless you.
Thank you.
You could work out.
9:30. No, I could do it afterwards.
Is 9:30 okay?
Certainly,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, so 9:30 on the 17th.
Very much appreciate the board setting up meetings now, too. It's very helpful.
No, it is really the right thing to do, because
Yeah.
you don't know what we go through with that. with Gretchen and,
Gretchen has to go.
Right.
and the emails back and forth. So this is the right way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
Well,
Do you want to go back to Mr. Staley?
yeah, we don't have Mr. Staley here.
So going back for the use variance, Mr. Staley's not here, so we can
Put it
skip that
over to the
over.
21st?
There was a motion to continue, right? Did I miss that?
Yes.
There was a motion to continue, correct.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So for the appeal portion of it, that it has been extended and public hearing is still open. I don't know if anybody from the public wants to speak to that. If not, I would say you can just adjourn it to the next meeting.
Okay, so that's what we'll do.
Yeah. Is anybody here for the public hearing?
Well, I mean, I got a little bit of info that Board of Health.
Do you mind? speaking to that?
Come on up. Announce yourself to the TV land.
Brian Tam, I work for the town of Rhinebeck,
In what capacity?
the zoning administrator, and I'm also president of the town.
So, what can you tell us
So
about?
the Board of Health did do an inspection. They did not give them approval for it, but they haven't put out an official statement. I talked with Derek, the guy who did the inspection, and he said his letter needs to be reviewed before it's out, and they were away. Whoever's reviewing it isn't there this week. So, but that being said, if there was any approval in the past to put a hookup to the current septic, the town would have gotten notified in the past. So whatever's there is not approved.
We have no record of that.
No, and we looked through, I looked to see if he ever put in an application for the pad that he talked about, that he said he was denied. There's nothing downstairs. That's all I got.
Was there, Kim, was there, I thought I saw something where there was some notification to him
Yeah,
in 2022.
Yeah, so there was a notice of apparent violation order to remedy from Michael Trimble, who was acting as zoning enforcement officer at the time. And what, that was provided to Mr. Staley. And let me just pull it up here. So this is what was provided. It cites that there was development near a stream, river, wetlands, other bodies, which within 100 feet of the DEC classified stream which required a special use permit and building permit. The concrete pad was located in the FEMA flood zone, which required special use permit. And then needed a building permit for installing the structure. So there was a request made from Michael to remove the camper from its location along the stream and take steps needed to acquire necessary permits. And then it said, if you believe you are in violation of the town code, please contact this office at 845-876-7207 to review the situation.
And that's all we have.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, so it's normally someone would come in, put in an application, start the process, but there's no application, there was no application submitted.
So I just wanted to make sure that was part of the record and show. All right, well.
And I was on the,
Request to
oh, sorry, Brendan.
So there's a request to remove.
There's a request to remove.
Yeah.
And,
Request to remove the camper, not the pad, right?
well, I think it says remove the camper, yes,
Yeah.
but I think that he needed a permit for the pad as well.
Right.
But I was on, as your attorney in 2022. I don't recall Mr. Staley being in front of us for any appeal or variance. I didn't get a chance to look over that, but I feel like I would have remembered that, so.
And I have no recollection of that either. Okay, so since he's not here, shall we put both the use variance application as well as continue the public hearing on the initial interpretation over until May 21st?
Yep, that's what I would suggest.
Okay. Should I make a motion to that effect?
Yes, please.
All right, so it makes sense, Mr. Staley is not here. He has put in an application for a use variance, and I move that we put that over until May 21st. And he also, there was a continuation of the public hearing from the last meeting of his application for an interpretation. We continued that till tonight, and I make a motion that we, I guess I'll make this, put them in the same motion. We make a motion to put that over for public hearing on May 21st. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, so that'll be on for the 21st, and you notify Mr. Staley that you should be present the next time around. All right. All right, and the last thing we have is the old business, which is the Travers case, and a resolution was circulated.
And it was posted today.
And it was posted, okay, great. And I talked to Kim about it, I thought it was very well done, but I went out to look at the premises on Saturday, and so I just gave her a couple other things to throw.
Yeah, and I'll just go through, these are the highlights, these are just from our discussion, Scott, what I added.
Okay.
So for the site visit, I added, from the site visit, it was apparent that the existing attached garage, the house is designed to be for 3 stables rather than a 3-car garage. The new garage is proposed to be situated at the end of the driveway in a reasonable location. There are no other houses nearby, and the area is largely wooded, so the new garage will not be visible from other neighbors or Route 308.
Right.
And then I just kind of inserted some of that dialogue into, if the variances are granted, will it cause an undesirable change? I just added that the area is largely wooded, because I know you talked about that point. So the garage is hardly visible from other locations. And regarding if the benefit can be achieved by some feasible method, I just added your comment too, that it was also clear from the site visit that the existing garage is designed for 3 stables rather than 3 cars. So it makes sense that the applicant would want to have a more feasible alternative structures as a garage.
Great. All right, well, since it has been posted, I'll just read the last portion of the resolution. It's in the affirmative. Now therefore, this is the resolution, at least for the record. Resolution in the matter of the area variance application of Christopher Travers and Beth Comstock, ZBA case number 1071. Now therefore be it resolved based on all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1. ZBA hereby grants the variance requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. The detached garage will be a nice addition to the property and well-designed and located. It will not be visible from Route 308 and will recede into the property. The design slightly differentiates from the existing house, so not as to detract from the historic character of the home, while being a dark color to blend more into the background. Section 2, the granting of, is it one variance?
It's what
The granting of this variance is expressly contingent upon the following: the proposed structure must be constructed in conformity with the application and plans submitted. Section 3, the granting of the variance shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The variance shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 4, the granting of this variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approval. And 5, the area variance shall be null and void unless the proposed structure is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. I'll tell you, I went out there on Saturday. It's a beautiful piece of property. You cannot see the house from 308. As you come in, there's kind of a rock outcropping, berm, whatever, on the right, and then you go in, and the road winds a bit. There's really nice stone wall, and then there's a gate opening, and then you go through that, and there's this beautiful house on the left, and attached to the back of the house are the stables, and they're beautiful. You can tell that they were stables. I suppose they could be used as a car garage, but it would be a shame. And then you go farther back, and it was staked out where the new garage, detached garage is supposed to be. And it's set way, way back. I went into, it's basically almost into the woods. It's right at the end of the driveway. And then you can kind of see a house to your left, and it's some distance away from any other structure. Makes perfect sense. And the design itself, I thought, was really nice.
Yeah.
But the whole, the house is beautiful, the stables are beautiful, and they should be kept the way they are, I think. They're really nice. So, anyway.
Can you see the garage from 308?
No, you
I
can't.
think you can.
No, you can't. You can't see the house.
Well, I know the house, but I mean,
No, it's so far back, there's no way.
No.
No way. I mean, it is way, way back. And the way the topography is, there's no way. So I actually drove by it and circled back because it's just so, the driveway itself, it's just, you're the world's way away from there it is, so it's, you can't see it. So, anyway, any comments, concerns? Okay.
Good.
It was a pleasure, actually. It's just a nice structure, beautiful. All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we adopt the resolution as read with corrections. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Gretchen?
All right, Scott,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
All right. Kim, anything else we should discuss, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I mean, just circling back on the memo, we should.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll put a memo together and maybe we can just, it will be pretty much what I just explained. And we can just maybe perhaps insert that into the minutes. I'll draft it up and then we can insert it in the minutes and then the vote will just be in the minutes right there. And we'll have it for the record so that in case you have to look back at the file, it'll be in the file here.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
All right, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Would you like to make it?
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All righty. Steve, great job again.
Yeah. Steve.